All right, just a brief update on some of the background research that I've been doing and some of the questions that it raises up. And of course, this is an invitation, if you have any knowledge about these issues and if you can provide me with some of pointers or guidelines, it would be most welcome and appreciated. That said, Thursday, the 13th of January, 2022, Jehu, the author of the blog The Real Movement, presents a review of a book I reviewed last year. This is Inventing the Future. Nick Srnicek and Alex Williams, I think, professors in LSE. Uh, anyway, in Jehu's review, his chief insight appears to be that by delinking the production of material wealth to production for profit, we would be able to increase the availability of commodities, services, including food, housing, etc., of all kind. Yet this would be meaningless were no one able to afford it, which is what lies at the root of the crisis of overproduction, which capitalism cyclically, periodically does seem to exhibit in various ways. The crisis of overproduction in capitalist economies. Anyway, that's his first insight. So that by delinking the production of material wealth from profits per se, we would be able to increase the volume of goods and services in circulation in the economy. And of course, the issue that comes up is that how would people be able to afford these? And that is where the issue of the crisis of overproduction comes about, as to if, for example, too much butter is produced and no one buys it, countries in Europe may be forced to dump it in the sea, as once happened in the early part of the late 19th century. Two, to address this, they, along with many others now, including pilot projects in various countries, including India, in Madhya Pradesh, champion the cause of universal basic income. Now, this is a demand that has come up in a big way in a number of spheres. I think it has been considered in Parliament in the US by at least two presidents. There are pilot projects which are underway, which actually, during the lockdown, actually handed out welfare checks in various states. In India, it's been taken up, as mentioned in Madhya Pradesh. And I've not really done extensive field work or any research regarding this, but I do presume that these would not be isolated examples. This is perhaps one of the soundest principal reasons for advocating a form of centralized socialist planning in the economy. It would be interesting to note when the former point has actually been implemented in the relations of material production, as in the long run it is what would be able to address an issue at the heart of any economic or political organization, i.e., by delinking material scarcity from income. And I think that is where these two trajectories meet in some ways, and what makes their argument and their vision of a possible future beyond the confines of capitalist organization meaningful. And I think this is an argument that we do need to consider seriously. Would it be possible to delink material production from profits per se, in terms of the organization of supply chains and of resource deliveries? Yes, it actually would be. What you are left with is the end consumer and the means they have of being able to procure those commodities, which is where capitalism has periodically developed hiccups. And to address that section, or that final step, so to put it, they do advocate universal basic income, which is a demand that has independently, so to speak, come up in various parts of the world, which may be able to address precisely this issue. Now, regarding this particular commingling, these two uh, twin causes which seem to complement each other. Are there any precedents to such a case history? Do you know of people who have perhaps sought to raise up the possibility of such a form of organization? I mean, I'm not sure whether someone like Lenin has taken it up. And who may they have been? Where are they? If you know of any of these instances, I would be curious to be able to follow them up and to see how they have charted out historically, or if they are live questions, if there's some sort of studies that need to be done to see as to where it is being able to make some headway. What are the issues that may be coming up, if any? Are there, for example, cantos in Scandinavian countries that have tried something similar or which are presently experimenting with such a form of the economy? Those are the live questions that I would like to address openly to anyone who may be able to point me to a possible means of addressing them. Anyway, just a brief update. Thank you for your time. I do recommend that you follow Jehu's blog, The Real Movement, and if you have the opportunity, do read Inventing the Future by Alex and Srnicek. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. I also have reviewed that book in full. Uh, for whatever reason, the website that I actually did where it was published in is no longer on the web, but I will try and retrieve a copy of the article and leave it as a link below in the description. And I do hope you read that if you find any of these arguments appealing, because they actually do consider some of the ways in which they can actually come to fruition, and also try and situate their impetus, their program, so to speak, within a case history of the various forms of crises we have experienced in the past, at least 20 years or so. Like they were looking at, let's say, the dot-com bubble from the late 90s to, of course, the financial crisis of 2008, and the changes which the economy has undergone in the interim, and what can be done to meet some of those issues. And that's it. Thank you. Bye bye. Catch you.